Here. Yay. Trustee. Here.
Sorry, my recording was off. Just for the record, we called the meeting to order at 7:30. Our deputy clerk called the roll, and we are all present. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The biggest part of the supervisor's report is that we had another intergovernmental committee meeting for Winnetka, where we had a wonderful presentation by Lucy, our intergovernmental sustainability coordinator, who presented about each of the initiatives from all of the member entities. I will circulate the PowerPoint that she did, but it was really just well done. And you can just see how well this process is working. So I'm certainly going to be including an additional appropriation for her for next year when we get to the budget process, so we can keep using her. As you see in Larisha's report, our insulation is already working and we're very excited. I wish I could say the same for our heat. We're all cozy here on the second floor, but the first floor heat is out. So we will have to have an unexpected repair. We're getting a couple of quotes, but essentially it's a third of the price of replacement to get the parts. And it's a 20-year-old unit, so I'm recommending that we go ahead and replace, since those aren't supposed to even last that long. So good job, unit. But of course, we did not know that that was a 20-year-old unit, and hence the importance of the building audit we'll be doing. So I'm very excited with that, so we can plan ahead for these kinds of, unplanned but completely anticipatable concerns that we will have. The second portion of the intergovernmental meeting was related to the mental health focus for this year. We had presentations from both a woman who was presenting a communication strategy, a joint communication strategy for all the entities. Don't take a moment. We're fine. And now our clerk has arrived. We were just saying, don't worry about it. It's recorded. You're okay. To talk about a joint communication strategy leaning towards destigmatization and making sure people know about available resources in the community. The second presentation was from the original consultants, which provided more of a higher level, like this is what we could do for X amount of money, which involved a lot more of additional focus groups and additional research at various levels of investment. There was no option presented to the committee for our recommendation. And so at the next meeting, we've asked that that be the case. So Mike Brayman and the other, and some of the other executive directors are going to come back and say what they think we should be recommending to that committee, which will then obviously be presented to each entity to see if there's a joint strategy for increasing awareness of mental health resources in the community and what that money will entail, because everything is money. That said, we have now had, at least one representative from each of these Wilmette entities now knows more about what we have to offer, knows about our website, what we fund, and the joys of the 211 Cook County program. So I think no matter what, we've gotten information out, and hopefully that permeates throughout their agencies so we can continue to partner. Let's see. So that was what I wanted to cover on the supervisor's report. There'll be some commentary as we go. Okay, so we're now in line for the approval of the minutes from October 10th, 2023. Are there any edits on those minutes?
Sorry, last line. Hot Valley seconded. It's a table verification.
Any additional edits? Seeing none, I would now entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Is there a second? Thank you, Trustee Robbins. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, unanimous. Now the November 14th, 2023 Board of Trustees meeting minutes. Are there any edits to those minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2023. Is there such a motion? Oh, you guys can trade if you want. Fabulous. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, unanimous. Wonderful. Is there a further clerk's report?
Yes, there is. Just one item. I want to express my appreciation to Administrator Hopkins for many things, but for her help with the FOIA that I never could do. So that's off to her.
Yes, we did have a FOIA request. Is that posted now on our website?
It is.
Okay, yes, simply asking for our contracts for our third-party contractors. So government accounting, Howard Simon, and then there was one more, right?
There's one more.
Oh, it was our payment,
Oh, yes.
processing. Forte, yep. So, and these are, we don't know why they ask for things. They just ask for things and we give them things. So that's their right. So thank you for both of you for getting that out. All right, financial report. Mr. Howard, will make you the host.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and then we'll walk through the financial statements. Ended November 30th, so bear with me one second. I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's walk through the 9 months ended November 30th. Again, puts us 75% of the way through our fiscal year. We did start to see some more tax money. Early escrows released on the second installment. That's the true up installment. 2.4 million in total now for property taxes at 72% of the budget. So we should see a pop as we take in the majority of this installment in December when we report next month. Replacement taxes, again, we get this 8 times a year. This is the business tax. We're at 92%. So that number looks good in terms of the budget as well. Interest, that's going to be the bright spot based on our managed accounts now. With Sawyer Faldudo, the bump in interest rates, we're already at 245%, so that's about 42,000. Passport fees at about 28,000, also going to outperform the budget this year, which takes us to about 2.6 million in revenue so far to date. 3.5 million is the budget, so we're at about 74%, and again, more tax money on the way. In terms of expenditures, again, pretty well aligned here with the budget. Again, we put it in green if it's under where we are in the year. So again, it's 75%, slightly over in childcare services. But again, those payments, we know when those go out. Outside of that, we're looking underneath 75% across some of the major revenue categories. Contractuals in at 60%. We have our assessor in at 61. Building town hall expenses, a little bit skewed upward here at 90%. Obviously, if there's more maintenance to come, this is an area we may need to take up in next year's budget. And we've talked a little bit too about the pantry. Again, that's 4% over so far to date. That's another area. We're going to discuss the levy. This may be an area, we can look to spend that taxpayer money wisely as the need is definitely there. All in about 2.2 million for expenditures. 3.6 million is the budget, so we're at 61% across both funds, respectively at 59 and 74%, giving us a surplus position of about 420,000. And remember, we strategically plan to bring down the GA fund. We're going to be increasing the town fund, and again, we still have 3 months to go here. 2 million in overall ending fund balance. Again, 90% fund balance ratio, again, across both funds. Look at the distribution, property taxes at 94%, replacement tax 3.5%, interest almost 2%, passports 1%, other income 0.1%. And as we look at our distribution on expenditures, agency programming is at 47%, childcare services 6%, projects 2%, contractual 5%, assessor 3%, building and town all expenses at 6%, financial assistance 9.5%, the pantries 5%, personnel 14%, officials 1.5%. Again, revenues over expenditures to date, and again, we'll see some more tax money coming in December. As we look at our incomes through the categories, again, just pointing out all agency programs at 67% outside of the Winnetka Youth Organization. And most of these categories look very good. We're going to be over and under where we are in the year on some of the timing of when these expenses go out the door, but nothing too egregious here. Most of this looks pretty well in line. And we talked about the pantry being about 4% over. So obviously there's a big need there. We look good in terms of personnel, 70%, and then the officials in at 75%. So again, that 420,000 right now, the surplus position. In terms of cash at the bank, about 2 million, again, mirrors that fund balance. You can see there that the BMO accounts, they've got a little bit more in them than usual. We're going to be able to bring those back into the Schwab accounts because that tax money's coming in. So that'll be something we'll look to make sure we have appropriate approvals on. But that's why you do see some of the BMO accounts now carrying larger balances. Again, that's the tax money coming in towards the end of the month. Outside of that, I don't have any other items for presentation besides the levy. But I'd be happy to take any questions on the financial analysis for the month.
Discussion.
5 pages from reconciliation detail for GA. It looks like there's something that's a zero balance for a check payment. I'm just trying to figure out if that was an error, if I'm reading that incorrectly. It's smack in the middle of the page. It's about Lakeside Foods.
Good question. Definitely signed something for them. It was not 0.
Right. So that was one question, and then 4 more pages back, so 9 pages from the end. I was just
Oh, you know what? It might be. And tell me if you think this makes sense. We've moved now that we're over budget. We've started paying out of Angel Fund for pantry. So I'm wondering if we zeroed this one out.
That makes
Sorry, I'm gonna grab it. Thank you. Oh, thank you. We'll pass them.
and then without the 4 more pages. There's a payment of $5,000+ to Goldberg preschool. Would that be a tuition payment, or are we doing something with them? Okay.
It was a
That's fine.
extenuating circumstances late check. Yeah. But that was, they would normally have already gone out. Yes.
I know that Larisha mentioned this in her report, but James, I just wanted to be sure, while we have you in case you needed to leave, if we're doing okay with the auditor's recommendation about the adjustment to the bank reconciliation stuff, kind of the monthly ledger. Is everything okay with that from your perspective? And it sounds like
yeah, we're doing Angel Fund now. I send them the Angel Fund information every month and the BMO statements when I get them. I know that the auditors were concerned that we weren't including Angel Fund in that, but I'm sending that to them monthly now.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions on the financial report? Oh, was it a daycare? Daycare.
Yeah, it's a preschool.
It's a daycare.
It's the one that's over it.
It's a scholarship.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Any additional questions? Seeing none, we'll now move on to verification of claims. Trustee Moser. Is there a second?
Second.
This calls for a voice, roll call vote. Yep.
Supervisor Eisenberg. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Moser. Trustee Robbins. And trustee Patel McNally.
Yes.
Just a reminder, although Mr. Owl is working better now, do speak up for the Zoom. And I will send this one around.
This is last time. The one that's-
I just wanted you to.
Yeah.
You have to really do that. Because it went silent.
Okay, so we usually adjourn to a public hearing. We're gonna do it anyway, but we do not legally have to move to a public hearing because we're not going up above, the limits, but we will. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn to a public hearing to discuss the proposed tax levy for 2023. Is there such a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. We have been presented with tax levy ordinance, New Trier Township ordinance number 2023-02. Is there any public comment related to the proposed ordinance? Seeing none. I will now open any discussion amongst the board of the proposed tax levy as presented. This is the 1%, correct, James?
The one I believe you have in front of you is the 1.5%. It was
Oh, 1.5.
option 3 on the PowerPoint. Yep, 1.5, 1.5 for both town and GA.
Yeah. The minutes say 1%. Okay. The minutes do say 1%, so it looks like this is at 1.5. You had sent me an email with your recommendation, given our current financials. Would you mind simply telling the board what your thoughts were given our anticipated needs for next year?
Sure. I think, as we kind of take a look at how the budget's coming together versus the actual numbers, I think some of the concern was with the need on the pantry side. We had put together options where the pantry would not see an increase. I think it's warranted, though, that the GA does include a small, and again, it's a smaller increase of about 20,000 with 1.5% over the prior year's extension. And then I think the capital needs of the town, given some of the building issues, we've come across, I think that the building study might be an eye opener as to really what the needs are. I'm concerned if it's not a huge difference between 1 and 1.5, but 1.5% gets us about 150,000 in new money. Again, that's going to really help, if you need to do something pretty expansive in terms of building repairs. And I know we've had, the flooding and the heat, and those are both pretty major issues that I think the study may point out more work is necessary. I just want to make sure that the township has the means to do what's necessary to get the building back in order.
What's the difference between the new money from that 1.5 and the 1%? If you have to pull up.
Yeah, hold on. I'll just have to run it real quick. So on the town side, bear with me 1 second. It's an approximately an additional $15,500 between the 1.5 and the 1%.
I'm sorry, you said 15,000?
Correct, 15,500.
Okay. Additional discussion?
on, based on the conversation, you know, the rarely,
They are, yes.
money. I think that the 1% plus 3% is what I have. The 40%, no, excess is that. I would, try to move on. The 50,000, 50,000, budget. Where I'm going, particularly looking at a surplus based on the numbers that I calculated throughout the year. I would prefer go back.
So trustee Meltzer, I was asked to repeat essentially what you said. So, he points out we did go around at the last meeting and had asked for a 1% to be noticed. He notes that a lot of the committees are reporting decreased expenditures on agencies, either because agencies don't meet criteria or for other reasons, which will obviously need to be approved by the board, and we'll discuss later. So he prefers to go with the 1% versus the 1.5, given that we are in a good financial position. Did I properly summarize? Okay.
I agree with Stephen. I think even 1% arguably might be too high, given the 3% built in, given the fact that our interest income is nice. I'm a little worried about unknown building expenses, but I'm pleased with our angel fund increases to cover the overage on the pantry. I think we have to draw the line for the taxpayer. I agree with Stephen that our committee vigilance is very, very high, and that some of the funds that we're anticipating spending are not going to be spent on the recommendations of the committee side. I think we're in a good financial position, and at a certain point, it just gets cumulative to this taxpayer, and we all took oaths to try to carry on the mission of the township and to protect the township, which is very important, and to serve our most vulnerable. But we also have to balance those with protecting the taxpayers who are getting hit with a 3%. And to go more than 1% on top of that 3%, something I just am not comfortable with. I think we're in good financial shape, and I'd like to hold the line at 1%.
And I will note, I had a conversation with Mary Lawler from League of Women Voters, who gave me some more context on that 3% that Cook County puts on there, and pointed me to some very fun resources on their website if you want to play with the treasurer's website. But essentially, it's meant to take account for those who might not pay their taxes, so default on their taxes. It's meant to take into account, loss of properties. James, can you offer some additional context on that? But it's not necessarily that we're getting the 3%. It's meant to be kind of a fail-safe to make sure we're actually getting what we need for the extension. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, it's basically a little bit of a buffer that the county adds on for lost collections. So you're not going to collect every dollar that gets extended to you by the collar, or by the county, I should say. So they've put that on. Now, most of those loss and costs, so like DuPage County had one, that's now gone away. I don't know how long they're going to be adding that, but right now it's an opt-in or opt-out type of process. You can't opt out of the loss and cost provision, but again, that's what it's there for, is that you're not going to collect every dollar, and so they decided that was the way that they would increase the levy to cover those lost collections.
For that we're in a better collection spot than many other parts. Yeah. Right. True. True. Yep. So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm incorrect, but given that we did have this discussion at the last meeting and had asked for the 1%, we could have James amend this ordinance for the 1%. That would be appreciated. Can we go ahead and do that? Um,
Yeah, no problem. I can send that over to Larisha. Just give me 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Other than, yes, so are there any objections to voting on it with a 1%? And then once we get the clean copy, having that signed, just so we can close this meeting because we have multiple meetings going on. Okay. All right. So that's what we'll do. I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance 2023-02 as amended to provide for a 1% extension. We will call a roll call vote.
Supervisor Eisberg,
Yes.
trustee Rubin, trustee Moser, trustee Robbins,
Yes.
trustee Casal Valley.
I will now entertain a motion to reconvene the Board of Trustees meeting. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Good. We are back in our Board of Trustees meeting. And now we will adjourn to our corporate meetings. Is there a motion to adjourn to the corporate meeting of the Angel Fund Corporation? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, welcome to the Angel Fund corporate meeting. So I say that tongue in cheek because as we mentioned a few months ago, I think 2 months ago, I had gone to the Metropolitan Township officials meeting and had quite a moment hearing about best practices for foundations and realizing we weren't doing any of them, essentially. So we're going to fix some of those today. First and foremost, at least in my memory, and I've only been around for 7 years, the Angel Fund has always had its directors be the trustees. Those who have been around longer may have a different recollection. For a long time, you just shuffle them each year. So apparently that is not particularly a good idea if you want to avoid your foundation from, having piercing corporate veil issues, having personal liability issues, having, your Angel Fund be subject to FOIA and OMA and all sorts of fun, and possibly losing your tax exempt status, all sorts of fun. So we're going to stop doing that and have independent directors. Illinois last year changed the law such that we can have a member, we can have some members appointed to a nonprofit board to represent the interests of the township. So non-independent board members, but expressly for the purpose of being the township's eyes and ears and representative, right? So what I'm proposing would be for instead of having, the Angel Fund have the trustees be the directors, I'm proposing 3 independent trustees, 3 independent directors, 1 trustee, and then myself or whoever the supervisor is as the president. So because the signing of the checks has become actually an issue. So you'll see attached is the change to, should be the bylaws in here. They're not coming. Oh, their email. Okay. Okay, so you should have the changes to the bylaws in your email. Are there any, and that would be to provide for the 3 independent directors, to delete cringy comments about essentially the Angel Fund being part of the trustees and to provide for that oversight. I kept the annual meeting, which was apparently supposed to always be in February. Again, something we haven't really been doing. And to provide how safeguards for how to remove a director. Were there any edits or changes on those on the bylaws? Once we approve the bylaws, I have 3 people to nominate. Yes. Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the amended bylaws. Is there such a motion? Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the new bylaws have been approved. We'll put clean copies everywhere we need to. Okay, so before we talk about appointing new people, I'd like to discuss, because we are still the trustee directors of the Angel Fund, and we have Jeannie here to provide some report to us as in our director capacity about the Angel Fund for the last fiscal year. Thank you for
basically what I did was break down the information for this fiscal year for 2030.
Can you speak up a little bit more? We're
Sure.
getting.
So
Yeah.
anyway, the information is broken down for this, for FY. And I did it versus the information for FY 2022 to 2023. So you can see a comparison of the different benefits. So if you look, item number 1 is our total disbursement. So for this fiscal year, we're at $27,731.55. And if you look at the total disbursements through 2/28/2023, $29,785.54. So we are on pace to at least meet or exceed. Then when you look at the number of clients served for FY 2023-2024 through 11/30/23, we've served 21 persons, and I should say that I have an application pending right now, so that number will go up by about 4 people, so it'll be 25. And then last year, FY 2023 through 2020, 2022 through 2023, we served 32 persons. So again, you know, considering that we've got a couple months to go, I think we will meet or, you know, possibly. In terms of the disbursements by category, they're the basic survival categories. This year has been heavy on housing. Part of that is because a lot of the COVID money dried up. And so some of the options available before to people that need housing assistance are not. So for FY 2023-24 through 11/30/2023, Angel Fund disbursements have been 97% for housing, 2% for medical, clothing is 0.5%, education is 0.5%. And then for FY 2023-2022, 2023, housing was lower, 78%, utilities 14%, medical 7%, and clothing 1%. And again, there were more programs available for housing assistance. What I thought would be interesting is I just looked at the clients that we have helped, and I thought, without getting into too many specifics, it might be interesting for you to see why, what kind of people are receiving assistance from, or what are the situations in which people are receiving assistance from Angel Fund. Because Angel Fund gives us some options that emergency assistance does not have. So this year we had 3 persons who were immigrants applying for work visas, and because the visas were in process, they cannot access any benefits that are considered a public charge. So no SNAP, no Medicaid, and obviously no rent assistance. Domestic violence survivors, 9 persons. There's been a lot of situations in talking to police social workers, and certainly in talking to the people that call me or come to my office. There's a lot. There are more situations involving domestic violence than I have seen for a while. Families referred by police social workers. This I broke out because this was a category in which a family was referred, and it was a person. So that to me is a little bit different. And And I think very often people don't realize it. Seniors on fixed incomes needing assistance with housing costs, that was 2 persons. Single working parents of minor children facing possible eviction, that was 4 persons. And then persons with severe physical and cognitive disabilities, that was 1 person. And then if you contrast it with the categories for the previous year, seniors on fixed incomes needing assistance with housing, 8 people. Single working parents with minor children facing eviction, 10 persons. Family members affected by a parental suicide, which was directly related to COVID, 5 persons. And then persons whose sole income derives from disability, 9 persons. And the latter is important because emergency assistance is considered a cash assistance bill. And so you cannot get, if you are getting SSI, which is considered cash assistance, you cannot then.
Sorry, I had to restart.
So you have folks who have a very limited income who need some kind of assistance and they are not eligible for emergency. So in that regard, we're fortunate to have Angel Fund because it means that somebody coming to the township for that kind of help, we don't have to say no. You know, we can say yes. We can. Yeah. Right, yeah. Right.
Tell us a little bit about the growth rate.
When you're talking about growth,
I'm talking about the total fund. How is the total fund grown from year to year?
I would say it's been fairly robust. Am I correct? Alicia?
I want to say probably highest over the COVID. I would say that the fund was well over $100,000 at that point when we were kind of like closed. People donated a lot during that time. During this time of year, we get a lot of donations. Yeah, we got one today. We just got one online. We got some a little bit after Giving Tuesday. There's more of an uptick in it in the holiday seasons. But I want to say probably over the pandemic, it was higher than it had ever been. Just speaking from me taking the money to the bank, but I can't speak from like a reconciliation standpoint because I wasn't doing it at that time. But I want to say it's grown significantly and we've kind of stayed there, but the usage is actually very high now too.
What's our balance?
I think right now it's 64,000 because we moved a lot of it to investment.
So with the investments.
With the investments. I want to say Angel Fund is not on here, but I think we moved 300,000 into investment and then we had to put 50 back. So I would say about 365,000, like roundabout. I want to say probably it's since I've been here, yeah.
It's really hard to tell because we were not given financials.
Correct. And
Correct.
Diane didn't do online banking. So it's kind of hard to kind of tell. Diane would reconcile at the end of the year. I kind of keep up with it on a rolling basis.
No, they were not coming both in and out. Right. It was just we didn't know as directors where we were on year to year.
Financial,
So,
yeah.
That it is something we should be able to find out. You're right. Northern Trust. Yeah. Exactly. So the first page that's got the yellow, those are your donations for the year. So you can see what them coming in, whether they're online versus a check. And then we did provide the check register. Obviously, we did not put those on in the online board packet because they do have private information. And we did not black them out for you because you are directors of the nonprofit. And the point is to make sure that I'm not writing checks to family members. So you have, your responsibility to take a look at them.
What's the second column?
That's our receipt number.
That can't be right. There are multiple receipts for the same, like,
The same number,
the
right?
same number, like
That-
2030 has 3 different entries.
That receipt number, I basically can write multiple, that's when I'm putting them in the bank.
Oh, when you're putting them in the bank.
Yeah.
So she takes them physically to Northern Trust down the street.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. I forgot. Yes, but yeah, and
To 14%. But I don't see anything.
Well, that's because housing has been such a big issue because there are less programs available. So what I have been very fortunate to work closely with St. Vincent de Paul. And part of it too is people come, they wait until, they're gonna be disconnected or they are disconnected. And our application process is, I try to turn things around as quickly as I can, but it's not immediate. St. Vincent de Paul likes to pay, it likes. Paying utilities is something that they can do. They can do it quickly. They can turn it around in a day or two. So typically what will happen when someone comes to me and, usually it's more than one thing. It's typically an issue with housing and utilities. So I will call St. Vincent and I'll say, is this something we can partner with? And then I do the housing and they do the utilities.
Thank you.
the villages also do help on utilities.
So I will call the utilities if somebody is, and if they know that something is in process, they typically very, they will work with us. Come at a night for a month. So in that case, it is a benefit to be able to go to St. Vincent and have them, take something around quickly, as opposed to wait longer. Because if somebody is behind in their rent, they'll give me permission, I'll reach out to the landlord, I'll explain the situation, and typically then, they will give a grace period or some leeway. Very often they will knock off late charges, that kind of thing, but the utilities are not flexible.
I have a question, it's a little bit of an aside, but is the township's response, our gratitude to the fund donors and for this program donors is one of us that I remember discussing the fact that we got the fund. I'm wondering if we have our appreciation for two of us more timely.
Everyone gets an acknowledgement of donation. It's on our letterhead. It's got my little signature on it.
Yeah. Everybody.
Everybody now. Yeah. Mhm.
And Andrew too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I just commend GA Director Ross. I've been here 13 years and I've never understood the payments. So I just, and Stephanie, you agree, I just, it's so nice that you provide all this information. Now, when people ask me about contributing, I can say, wow, it really helps in all these ways. So, Jeannie, that's fantastic.
And I don't see payments.
Yeah.
I understand. So that's not part of the 27,000.
It is. So when this report is for the individuals, right?
Right.
Yeah.
These are for clients, yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that, but so how much will
Right. Do we have a total on the amount that went out?
There's the check register is in the very back.
I know. Do we have to do math?
We probably have to do math
Mhm.
because it's a lot.
So the ones you're looking for are obviously Sunset, Top Box, Warehouse Direct, Amazon Business, which has been, I think, pretty You good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
city cards is
City
Costco. We pay directly out of it, now that we're over budget, yeah.
Yeah.
Operating cash, the rest.
I understand that, so. Go down the pay.
Well, we have to move some of the money from investments back
Investment
into
back.
operating, which is the whole idea, right? So
Mhm.
as we need to, we have been moving it back.
Which you'll see on the last page, 750,000 is. Not all of it, but,
Mhm. That is a,
Calculating it.
oh, thank you. Mhm.
So far.
Yeah, and we will want to get the full number. Because I think it's important for our budget process to know not only what we were spending of tax money, but of nonprofit money.
Wonderful.
Well, I will,
What we
yeah.
have to do next.
There are people who give to Angel Fund specifically because they know it goes to the food pantry. You know, that's the only way to make a tax deductible financial contribution. It is an option. There are other townships that have a separate pantry fund. I do not know if they have a separate Angel Fund in addition. So I do know, yeah. Well, we will not have that responsibility with the independent directors, right? So the independent directors will get to take a look at that. Right.
Maximum leverage. Maximum working opportunity whenever it's one fund. I mean, unless of course owners are set and they want the money earmarked for, you know, in which case they know that some of it is. So creating another fund might reduce our leverage a little bit. It might.
Right. I'm not sure everybody would realize, you know, so how it rewrote the bylaws was simply to say, you know, I think what was the exact language, but like to aid those with financial need, right? And that to me was both. That was trying to write it to cover both concepts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here we go. Second that. While we're getting that number, which I really appreciate you doing. I would have messed it up by now. Okay, so I was very lucky to speak to a number of residents who are willing to participate as independent directors going forward, who I'd like to recommend to the current directors, which are all of you. Oh, yeah, we should do that. Yes, before we do that, we are going to go ahead and take a look at the approval of the December 13th, 2022 meeting minutes. packets for that. Are there any edits to those minutes? And the total expenditures from the Angel Fund to food pantry is $59,823 and 87 cents. We're gonna call it 60,000. Yes. Well, direct cash assistance versus food assistance, right? Right. It is. Yes. Which in itself was a bit of the concern because there were people earmarking for food pantry. Which, yeah.
You've got two things combined in the currently have a much greater use of the capital.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yes.
Who we're spending the majority of the money spent that we're expending from the robust aid. That's 2/3 paying for funding. That could change.
Who are individuals receiving the food. I just want to, like, this isn't like, right. It's about food aid versus financial aid. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so, so was there any discussion on those minutes? Being none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, meeting minutes of December 13th, 2022, board directors have been approved. Is
that part of my motion? Will the next set of minutes with the next February?
They will have a separate meeting in February.
So it'll be a year or 2 months.
They get to decide. They can call multiple meetings. Yeah. And hopefully, yeah. So appointing directors. So I'd like to recommend 3 community members from Glencoe. Would be Sally Arnold. Sally is a major gifts officer for the Holocaust Museum, and she lives in Glencoe, and mom of 2 young kids. I'd like to recommend Marcia Bloomingfall Fields, who's an retired attorney from Winnetka, active in the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic and voter rights issues. And I'd like to recommend from Wilmette, Mary Lawler from League of Women Voters, who's been head of the Good Governance Committee and the Observer Corps. Is there any discussion? Three independent, and then I would have a trustee also, which we'll then discuss. Yes. Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the nominations of the 3 independent directors. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? They are approved. Next, we need a trustee designee. Does anyone want to volunteer?
Or is that
They're gonna
necessary?
vote. They're gonna vote
Okay.
on it. I know, fun, right? I'm gonna suggest Trustee Moser. I think you had some really good points. I like the noise means you are volunteered. All right, Trustee Moser. Is there any opposition to that nomination? Seeing none, all those in favor of Trustee Moser being our designee on the board, please say aye. All those opposed, seeing none, wonderful. That's exciting. We have independent. Well, they will not. No, you can use your other email. Good job. Now you just figured out how to use the Township email. All right, so we have a second nonprofit. All right, we have a second nonprofit here in New Trier Township, our Courier Fund. Sure. I'd like to adjourn the meeting of the Angel Fund Corporation. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, we will now call the Courier Corporation meeting to order. We'll take a look at the December 13th, 2022 meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to approve. Second, wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? No. Wonderful. Yes.
What I just agreed to.
We're keeping things separate, so now we won't have. No, they literally just changed the law to make this all work perfect. Yes, you're good. We are creating better government tonight.
Sometimes.
I think sometimes things are done to be expedient that are not necessarily one legal or two best practices. Yeah. So that's probably what happened here is that someone thought, let's be efficient. Let's make the trustees the same, right? So, but yeah. Also possible, though the bylaws were amended about 10 years ago by a lawyer.
All lawyers are created equal.
Not true. So, yeah. Anyway. And well, it's up to the board itself. The bylaws provide for just one meeting minimum. Yeah. And the concept is they're directors, they can access the checkbook at any time. You know, they have that ability and that right to act as fiduciaries. Right. So the annual meeting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They can call as many meetings as they want. For any, it's up to them. Well, we have no oversight over it. That's the point of an independent.
Like during the board.
Separate.
Separate
Exactly.
meeting.
Exactly. Yep, I know. So now we have our meeting minutes were approved from December 2022. All right, Courier financials are attached for your perusal. As you see, we essentially just move money in. We pay for sending our couriers out and pay that, and then that's it.
Let me go back further. So that's why it's back in October. It shows one of our courier bulk funding, but the new bank portal does not let me go back very far for some strange reason. But I did move the bulk mail over to electronic so that we don't have to physically take a check to the bank every time. Essentially, we move the money over and they take it from there through ACH for our couriers.
So am I reading this correctly? That it's about $2,000, you know, for one issue of the courier.
We're sending it out. So
Yeah.
this does not count the printing.
Right.
Right. So it's just a
Just
separate
the
line.
postage,
Yeah. This is our postage process.
So it reaches everybody in the township.
Yeah. And it's the most important content we have. Okay, so here is what I'm proposing with this. The courier, I would like the same trustees to run the courier, also independent, the same directors. The courier would become essentially So again, we're not allowed to have foundations that are the township, right? So we would fund the courier fund as if we're funding any of the other agencies, but not through the agency process, through our own allocation, right? So similar to how, we would, partner with an agent, we can partner directly with an agency for the amount of the postage. And that would be our grant to that foundation, that its job is to send out our courier. As you saw in the bylaws revisions, I made the mission statement to communicate township
Educate the residents of the township. About not-for-profit government assistance, mental health use, seniors, persons with disabilities, employment and training services available to those individuals and families within the township to effectuate the provisions of such services.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Yep. So it would be an agency of New Trier Township, but not a part of New Trier Township.
What happens if we overfund and there's just additional left in the account? Do we have to worry about that coming back to us at the end? Can we just leave them in revolving?
We can do a memorandum of understanding between ourselves and the nonprofit requiring a reimbursement of overage.
Cool. Is there any problem legally with the independent directors of one being the independent directors of the other?
Not that I
notwithstanding that
saw.
they're okay.
I certainly see less work with this because it's not about looking to make sure we're above board, because it's literally just moving money in, moving money out.
And when they're moving money out, where are they moving it to?
To the U.S. Postal Service.
Okay. It's not to us to then go to the U.S. Postal, like Marcia's gonna stand at the post office with.
No, now it's electronic. Thanks, Larry.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yay. We entered this center.
Okay. So are they you? Here's my question.
Yeah.
Here's my question.
And this one took me some
Are
thinking.
are the independent directors using the township at all to effectuate what they are doing?
Other than we grant money to this nonprofit to pay for postage.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
What was the purpose of having this?
The purpose was it was cheaper to send money on nonprofit rates than it was on government rates. Oh, yes, very much so.
What if it's a net savings, because there's a lower nonprofit? 2357 to all the households. For our,
That's much better.
much better. That makes sense. Usually the same directors, one form. No. It's in comparison to the old system. But I think that this second corporation, the Goldberg corporation, with the postal savings, that's a tax friendly. Complicating of bureaucracy. It's a slightly increased bureaucracy, but a net tax saving to our residents, to our.
Well, but to your point earlier, Stefan, with the tax levy, we are, dealing with the funds of our taxpayers and like, if this is saving them money that we can, use, for other services, we are where we are. It is what it is. And I think I'm in favor of, this.
I don't have it at this point. Yeah, 'cause we haven't done it, so I don't think we've done the math. It's only increased on the nonprofit, rate. So I think what we need to do then, oh, are you looking it up?
I'm looking up, not. profit.
I'm gonna look up.
All right, let's see what the internet.
Versus for profit. Which is good. Could be something.
What are we at now? We're at 60,000 residents.
Yeah.
What's that? Is it 20,000 households?
That does sound about right.
Of course, Melanie has those numbers because she's doing it right
Yeah.
now.
21,114 housing units. It's what's recent. 56,000 residents. 21,114 housing units, 56,000 residents is what's on our website currently. Mhm.
Most is certainly bulk.
You send marketing mail or US or personal?
It's called bulk mail.
Yeah.
I would think that it would be considered, USPS marketing mail. There's so many different categories. That's like the classification, yeah.
So let's get 29 cents a piece.
We're looking at not-for-profit grocery prices, you can save about 35 cents per piece for bulk. Savings could be, the not-for-profit could be less than, it's at least half the time. Savings for price. Postanalytics.com. It's website. What's the not-for-profit management? SPS offers many rates for small claim. There's no single rate for SPS monthly mail for nonprofit organizations. You can calculate postage for nonprofit mail for 2023 using the USPS's business postage price calculator. If you are looking at nonprofit postage prices, you can save about 35 cents per piece for bulk mail compared to postmaster. So 21,000 times 35 cents. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Sorry. You said 35 cents.
Yes, this is from postanalytics.com.
So that's based on the number of housing units. That's 7,400.
And if this 2257 figure that we have here, if this was the total cost for mailing, and we're mailing to 21,000.
That's not the total cost, so that's about the
postage
cost.
cost.
Yeah, that's the postage cost, but I can't go back further, but we do 3 couriers per year, so if you multiply that by 3.
But for each courier is
Right.
around 20, so we're mailing 21,000
Yeah.
pieces of mail for about 11 cents a piece.
Yeah.
So we know that's a big thing. If you multiply that over the course of 3 couriers,
Yeah.
I think this makes sense. There's a reason they funded it.
Right. Well, it's not.
More government and less money. That's all. I think this is a balancing act. I'm very creating one bureaucracy, but if there's a very clear cut financial reason, which results in a savings to the taxpayer.
Are there any hidden additional costs that we're not thinking about by creating this?
We have been currently it is separate, right? Like Angel Fund and Courier both have to file annual reports with the state, about $100.
Mhm.
So that's been the biggest. 75. Thank you. But yes, that's the biggest cost.
If every governmental entity is responsible, is working about creating their. What about I think we're all doing it. I'm partial. But if you look at the record here and see that we're really working hard and trying.
So what I would ask is for approval of the revised bylaws, which provide for independent directors. Otherwise, it's the same changes as the Angel Fund.
So,
All those in favor, please say aye. Any objections? Seeing none. So the bylaws have been approved. I'm going to actually hold off on my recommendations of the same directors. I want to talk with the directors to make sure they're cool with that. But at this point, so that means under our bylaws, current directors remain directors until the election of the next directors. All right, as you can see, I've been having a lot of fun. Lots of revising. We'll get some more revising in a little bit because we're now going to reconvene our board meeting. All those in favor of adjourning our Courier Corporation meeting, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. All those in favor of reconvening the board meeting, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Welcome back to the Board of Trustees meeting. All right, we're now in line for the assessor's report. Shan, thank you for your patience.
No problem. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because as usual, I cannot hear everybody all right. So that's good. Just before, it's very brief. By report, everything is fine, quiet, and all done. But before I mention one specific point, I wanted to say a special thanks to Larisha for over a year and a half now, or a good year and a half anyway. I have been wanting to get monthly detail of the expenditures from the assessor's office, which I have never been able to achieve through asking anyone at GA for them. And the reason I haven't said this before is because I didn't want to be pointing fingers at anyone for something that wasn't being done. But the last couple of months, Larisha has been sending it to me early in the month, and I am terribly grateful. And I wanted everyone to know that in addition to everything else she's done, she has taken time to send me something that really, really makes it easier for me to track how my office budget is being handled, since I am quite, brand new at having this entire budget rather than the very small amounts that we had before. So I wanted everyone to know that. As I said, everything is quiet, and I did send out a report earlier, or late. It was later, but earlier than the meeting. I just wanted to call everyone's attention to a study that Treasurer Pappas did that was published a couple of weeks ago. It's called Where Your Money Goes. And it actually received media play the day it came out on all the major networks. But of course, I doubt that they've followed up on it at all. But it is really, it's an amazing study. You can track by entering your own information on her website. You can track it. It's obviously many pages and many charts. It covers the entire county. But eventually you can get down, if you scroll down, you can get to New Trier Township, and going through different reports by years, you can track what the changes have been in the assessed values over the years, whether it's a plus or minus change, percentage change, whether that has actually then had an effect on whether your taxes, the actual taxes, have gone up and down, up or down, because the correlation is not necessarily the same. There have been years, for instance, 20 years is how far this thing goes back. And there have actually been times, let's say, and I used Wilmette and Winnetka, first of all, because alphabetically they're right together, but also because Wilmette is larger than any of our other towns. And there have been times where, let's say that Wilmette's total assessed value went down, and their taxes went up because the levies were higher and there was less money in the pool. So you can get a picture of how the various parts balance better than you can just by looking at your own tax bill, year after year, and being confused about why you got charged more or why you didn't get charged more. So when you have time, to take a look at it, I would really recommend you give it some time and spend some time looking at it. And if you want a link, I'd be happy to send it to everyone, or obviously you can just look up online, because there it is. And aside from that, as I said, everything is quiet for us now that the tax bills are paid. We are still asking people or reminding people that they can go back as far as 2018 to pick up missed exemptions. And this is very unusual because the standard is 3 years, not 5, but the pandemic threw everything off. And the tax, as the tax sales of properties resume, which will in order, and they're starting one in shortly after the first of the year in 2024. I think that 2018 will then disappear. And so this is like a really rare window for people to take a look at their own records. And if they, they said, well, I've been here for, I've lived here for 10 years, and they suddenly find out that they're missing a homeowner's exemption for 2019 or 2018, they still have a chance to pick it up. And ordinarily that would not be the case. So we are pressing that point with people. Don't forget to take a look and see what you can do. And that's really about it for now. And Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all there. So that's all.
Thank you.
Can't hear. The owl does not like your side of the room, Stefan.
Yeah, hold on for 1 second. We're gonna hear the whole thing he has to say, and then we'll repeat it real loud, I promise.
If you go back in time for an exemption, do you use a certificate of error to accomplish that?
Yes, thank you. Exactly, you do. You must use a certificate of error, even for 2022 exemptions by now, because the cutoff dates have been cutoff dates for all of them. So yes, it is all by certificate of error. Thank you. Repeat.
You mentioned last time that the county had dropped some theoretically automatic exemptions or reoccurring exemptions.
Yes.
Do you have an update on that?
No, not an update. We never get things like updates from them. from the assessor's office. It is simply people said they didn't have them. We helped them fill out the certificates to get them back. And we hope that eventually, when the entire computer update process is completed, if it's within our lifetimes, we'll be able then to, once again, to look at records and see if things actually got posted. And that's really about it.
Jan, I saw that our Commissioner Samantha Steele was elected the chairperson. Does that do anything for us, or what does the chairperson do for the Board of Review?
I have absolutely no idea, and I didn't know what happened, but I'll email her and ask her and let you know.
Mazel tov to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Jan, 2 questions. Told me an email that Len had called Kenilworth to try and figure out the situation. Has there, sorry, in terms of the building kind of
Permits?
applications, right? And it looks like we're going to be okay going forward. The coordinator did leave. Do they have another coordinator in
Yeah,
place?
yes, they do. And I'm sorry, I thought we told you that. It happened right about at the same time as the last board meeting when you asked about it, in fact. And so you called, they did have somebody new who didn't realize, she'd only been there a few weeks, I think, at that point, and didn't know that we were supposed to be getting all of these permit reports. So she sent them all along within a day or so, and Len got them all posted. So yes, Kenilworth is back on track, and we are back on track with them. So no problem.
And then how are things going with sorting out the assessor's office EIN issue?
Sorry?
How are things going with sorting out the assessor's office EIN issue?
Well, hopefully we are not going to need to have the EIN. We need, I think, still to have one more meeting with Gail to sort out the exact pieces of what will happen when, which I was going to email her about, to take care of after sort of between now, probably after the first of the year, but before the January meeting.
Okay. I know that Howard Simon's been asking for just some documentation, but we want to make sure that anything that was due and owed this year is paid this year for Len.
Yes.
So, because I don't want to have any issues with taxes.
Right.
So,
Now, when you say this year, you mean this calendar year, not our fiscal year.
exactly, calendar
Okay.
year
Okay.
for W-2s and all that.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. I get confused about the 2 years involved here, especially at this time of year. Okay. Yes, I think there may be a payment we will need to make an adjustment for, but yeah. Okay. In that case, Gail, we should talk before the end of the year, not wait on that part until after the first of the year. Okay.
Any additional questions for Jan? Wonderful. Thank you. We're now in line for public comments. Is there any public comments? Seeing none. Committee liaison reports. We'll start with Trustee Rubin. I'm going to encourage you to speak up. Project.
Funding the amount that they're asking for, and I would say that obviously the heads of the committees will be included on this, but I would say for the most part, at least all of the committee members were in alignment. There were a couple of agents where the members do not think that the agents should be getting the amount of money that for. But with reason. So I know that we discussed that at a later date, but it's been discussed. We're all good. And then I do want to commend Stephen, who did a great job. And then one committee member brought up a really interesting point. Supposedly these members are supposed to be checking in with their agencies on a monthly
face it, this doesn't always happen, or they don't always know the right questions to ask. Sometimes it's just, how's everything going? Everything's fine, and that's about it. So there was a suggestion to come up with a quarterly report that I don't really think there's anything going on, a uniform quarterly report that all the agencies will need to complete, leading up to, when they once again for funding.
I saw the initial draft and it's
Yeah.
looking really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for Mary, who has to repeat, essentially Danielle was saying they had very good meeting. Stephen did a good job in facilitating. Obviously, the committee will present their funding decisions and recommendations. And there have been discussion about a quarterly report to help guide the liaison process. Does that sound right? Fabulous. Okay. Trustee Moser, life stages.
They're being tough, to be honest. One agency. Part of the new bylaw, idea that going to the township
Must serve all townships. That's right. Right.
And amend that. They specifically some of our it's pretty damn. On that, the other issue was in the context of all of the townships. That's difficult. I mean, one of the Warner brought out of this map, somebody challenged that 5% of the people there, but at least there were 2 parents there. So I don't know if you give some people some insights or clarify some things, but the other issue that came up was they were very critical. Agencies were doing very well, which I also did because I don't think that you don't give somebody money because they happen to do it well, and it's kind of like punish the successful one and warn the bad one. So I have some issues with that as well. But overall, came to their decision. They provided less money than we asked for. And that's kind of how, again, when it's presented to the board, I'll make my case. So
To summarize for those online, Trustee Moser was stating that there are some very fiscally responsible or conservative members of their committee, as well as very detail-oriented readers. That overall the committee gave less than was requested, and was very fixated on the number of residents served and the service to all residents per the township's new guidelines. Trustee Moser has some disagreements with what was determined for the recommendations and will make those cases upon our own decision meeting. All right, Elliot, disability. Fabulous. Come speak to. You're fine. Trial lawyer.
No, but your voice on that. Oh,
We had our third set of grant hearings, and we also had our decision meetings since our last trustees meeting. And the committee's done an excellent job. 2 of our agencies will not be getting what they asked for in full, and they'll actually be getting less than they got last year, because it's very clear that those two agencies are serving considerably fewer township residents this year. I thought the attendance and the participation and the knowledge level of the committee was very high. Fortunately, unlike Stefan's situation, I'm not going to have any reason to dispute any of the decisions made by the committee, but I understand that, you know, we're in a difficult time with new criteria, and that it's possible that, you know, some of our trustee liaisons could have differences of opinion with committee members. I won't happen to have that at this particular time. Let me just comment with my peer jury also. We met, we had a new case. We've got some new youth officers who are referring cases. We are going to move ahead with the peer jury scholarship. So we'll have a peer jury scholarship submitting of essays, and we will select a peer jury scholarship winner who will read his or her essay at the town meeting this April, which I think will be great to get that back up. And we'll have another meeting in January. We have 2 returns and a new case, and the program seems to be doing well.
Wonderful. Strategic planning.
So Melanie and I, and Gail was able to join us for some of this, spoke with 3 members from the Northfield Township team, including their supervisor, on November 30th, about 45 minutes. We got a lot of information from them regarding their strategic planning process. The last time, again, to center us, that New Trier Township went through a strategic planning process was the 2006 to 7 calendar year, with the strategic plan being from 2007 to cover the years 2007 to 2012. Stefan was the only person whose name is on that strategic plan that still is serving. So, you know, I feel like you need a pat on the back, my friend, on this long. The Northfield Township folks were incredibly giving with their time and what they told us, and I will have a more fulsome thought in terms of what I think we should do. But you know, Melanie, the quick and dirty is what you get for your money with going through a intentional directed process with strategic planning, rather than people who do not understand how to analyze data, and even before you get that data, how to go after and get people to who would not otherwise volunteer to fill out a survey. May be worth it if we are trying to do something more than live in an echo chamber of hearing what we already believe. So I want to dig into this a little bit more. I want to, you know, ask some more questions and see what's available. But I think that Melanie and I trying to put together a survey that, you know, people that are we already know what they're going to say, I think is a waste of time. So that's my short version, and I'll have something more for you. But I want to talk to Melanie, you know, more.
All right, we've received staff reports from our township administrator, our food pantry manager, restorative justice coordinator, our general assistance administrator, our outreach and communications director, and our community partnerships coordinator. Is there anything anyone would like to take from the reports for discussion?
Question for Alicia. What's going on with the solar panels?
Aha.
About different things. I wanted to hear directly what's
Okay, so we had a meeting with Village of Winnetka last week. The Village of Winnetka wants to move us essentially to an underground electric grid. Right now, it's over.
An arborvitae.
Yeah.
We're the only ones on that.
We're the only ones on it. So their concern about the solar panels is the amount of voltage we are going to use for those solar panels. They came the next day after the meeting and they said that they were gonna let us go through with it, but they had to talk to the head of the department because he was in Springfield at the time that we were on the meeting. So we met with the village of Winnetka, the head of the water and electric department, or one of the heads, and we met with Winfrey Solar, who is our vendor for the solar panels. I'm ready for the project to come to an end. It's been almost 8 months. But we're still in like muddy waters right now. Because we did not know, they did not present that to me initially when we started applying for permits, that Winnetka, that they had an issue with the voltage, and part of it has to do with our elevator, but we have to have an elevator in the building. So, there were some issues with that, but he seemed hopeful when he left here the other day that they were gonna let us pass through with the permitting. So. Because of the elevator.
So the elevator is still at the old voltage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said that he needs to talk to them about whether at our current voltage in the elevator, we can also do the solar panels, because their future project is to move all of that underground. We did not know that when we applied for the permits. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a matter of when we do it. So the question is, if Winnetka changes us over to the underground, then they're going to have to, provide some sort of recompense for the elevator that's going to have to be converted, right? And then we do the solar versus having the solar on the same voltage as the current system, and then having to do both essentially. So it's a matter of order of operations.
Something else about infrastructure. We have the support of
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah, we had the
All of
roofs
that
checked
has-
out before.
Yeah, all of that has been approved.
Yeah.
Now we're just at the in the mud with the voltage stuff.
Yeah. Everyone's done their cybersecurity training
Please do. This is my plea.
and your sexual harassment training. Fabulous. Thank you. You have to call HTML
Please do
then.
call HTML Global because our score is 530 out of 800, and that makes me sad.
Yep.
Gonna take a note out of Gail's book when she says she's sad about that. You know, I'm looking at you, Jerome.
Yep, you gotta do it. 'Tis the season for scams.
We had a lesson learned about it. I had the staff, it was required from my staff in the assessor's office, joined us as well. Brett from HTML came in last week. We had lunch and we learned about like all of the different types of scams, the phone scams, the text scams. Today, Jean got an email from Brian's email about like a scam, like click on this link. So I had to have Brian call HTML. It's just like ramping up right now, especially during this time of year. Do not open.
Did he send you
I don't have it.
the?
I just checked my email. Yeah.
All right, you'll- Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so continuing business. All right, my other fun with redlining. Revision of the personnel policy.
That's
So,
also emailed because it's long.
right. As you all can see from the electronic version, there were a lot of changes that I made from the version that the lawyer had provided us. I was not happy with what was provided. I don't know what was really done. There were very few changes. It was just the few things that I had, expressly mentioned versus actually reviewing the manual to make sure it was compliant. So that said, it took a while. I think we're in a much better position, obviously, as we work through using this policy. Any omissions will be, discovered, and we can always change it. Fun of personnel policies is that they can be changed unilaterally by the employer and are non-contractual, which is usually something I'm not happy about when I'm on the other side, but here is to our benefit. The idea is simply to set forth what would happen in a normal process, but real life tests policies, and we can make revisions as necessary. And I'm hoping to really meet these revisions yearly going forward, not every decade or two.
Do you want us to expand or?
Are you on paper?
Yeah.
Well, how about, can you give us the top concepts so we can move for a revised?
Yeah, they're mainly just, kind of format, there's a
Oh,
lot of
format's
formatting.
gonna be set. Yeah, I'll
There's a
send
lot
it
of
out to,
formatting.
yeah.
There's a lot of catchphrases, kind of typo stuff like that.
Yes.
I also noticed we're missing 2 of the
Yes.
Exhibits.
Yep.
And so I want to take a look at those. And yeah, but it's not tons.
Yeah, the formatting will be fixed.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think the township is extremely blessed to have somebody like Supervisor Iceberg with her acumen and her knowledge and her skill in this area. And I feel so confident in your ability to review and revise this particular type of issue that I didn't even look at it. I just, I have paid going through it.
With the fine
Double
tooth comb.
checking. I mean, I feel so comfortable with that approach that I'm prepared to move.
Well, I appreciate it. And I will highlight some key changes because the number one change I would say, we had mentioned going into a PTO model. So that is in here, right? So instead of having separated out PTO, vacation, sick leave, personal time, so 4 buckets, right? It's 1 bucket, PTO for any reason, not our business, as long as you give us a notice. Obviously, there's the consideration for emergencies and sick because you don't have ability to have notice. We do include, so as a result, and we also went to a single number of PTO hours accrued, no matter how many years of service. The number of years, the number that you would accrue as you got further into your tenure here was hefty. Yeah, so, and obviously created some issues with other staff members and a small staff. So this will allow us to actually have the coverage that we need and equality on that, because we're already seeing, increases in salaries versus that the time is really what we need. And we need people here to serve our community. It is still a pretty generous PTO hours set up, especially compared to the private sector. So we are not subject to the Family Medical Leave Act. So I deleted that section that made it sound like we were. Right. So I was like, we're too small. You need 50 employees. So there were a lot of things in here that would have been just confusing to any employee reading them because they didn't apply. So that was number 1. We are subject to other kinds of leave. So I made those clear, certain kinds of military leave, blood donation, organ donation, voter registration, things like that. Not voter registration, voting. So those apply, but not family medical leave.
Regarding the legal services that you found them to be
Wanting.
that you voice that with council or meeting.
We have not received a invoice. That discussion will occur if and when he does. Potentially. Just to note, I mean, yeah. Yeah,
They know
it was
that you're
not okay.
attorneys.
Oh, yeah. He's always inviting me to township attorneys conferences. Yeah. So I think he has his expertise in township law. and not general law. And he should have said, no, that's not what I do. So.
Do you feel comfortable with him moving forward, given that this has been his experience with this? You know, there's the retrospective, which is one thing, and then there's the prospective, which is another. And, you know, frankly, you know, we haven't, to my knowledge, since, you know, I've been a trustee there, we haven't really needed to call upon him for much that's been serious. And so this is my first introduction to him. And if I got this from somebody on the other side of the table, I would think that, you know, a litigation would be a slam dunk against them. So it's something to consider, and I don't know that I have the answer, but it's something to consider about whether we are comfortable with this person continuing to represent us, or if it's worth, you know, asking some of our, you know, other township, you know, colleagues who they use, who they like, you know, things like that. And to the degree that, you know, you would like somebody else to be the heavy, I'm more than happy. So, you know, if you need help with that, let me know.
Yes. I think what we should do is have that be on the January agenda. I am familiar with many quality municipal attorneys, municipal local government attorneys, many who have presented an attack or them. So it is. Yeah. It does, yes, yeah. Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I can look at the minutes. I was there for that, and I think it's the supervisor's
It is.
consultation from the board, and I remember they made extensive presentation. But one of them was so impressive, she didn't answer, it's like she didn't even look up our website.
Ugh.
You remember that? It was stunning. She was so thorough.
Our legal so broad that arguably one firm or one person, especially when they were coming up, specialized. Sometimes you have to have somebody specializing in municipal law, but maybe he or she should know when they have to bring in a specialist.
Oh, absolutely. And it's an ethical, you know, requirement as well. So
Yes. Well,
exactly.
Sure. Have them.
Oh,
Absolutely.
perfect. That would be great to consolidate.
Non-read.
Yes. Oh, no, I still would like to approve the personnel policies
Right.
subject to the
It's in-
revisions. Yeah.
We don't have to do the exhibit.
We do not have the exhibits. The exhibits will be added. It's the policies themselves. The exhibits are the
There's a confidentiality available.
to have them sign, which to be honest, I'm happy to just delete. I don't think it's necessary. It had said, and it was attached to the exhibit. That's why I added added a page for it. And the conflict of interest policy is just, I'm gonna, insert the PDF from the website. We passed that.
If memory
Yeah.
serves, if you control F exhibit, I think that it's within the context of a much larger discussion about how keeping control over, confidential information about the people that we serve is of the utmost importance. And I was actually excited about the fact that we were gonna ask our employees to sign a confidentiality agreement for that purpose.
I'm happy to create something more fulsome and have it be the actual Exhibit D. I don't think that needs to keep us from approving the policies, and still have them sign the confidentiality agreement, which of course is still binding in the sense that they have legal obligations to keep the information confidential. I would like the policies to go into effect for
I know
January
you're
1.
hell bent on January 1. I got it.
With the understanding that there'll be some provision to formatting in line with.
Is there a second?
Well, what I'm moving is that we go ahead and we approve the policies as amended, with the understanding that there'll be some revision to formatting and the adding of the exhibits. But let's move to pass the policies.
It's not money though. Yeah, I don't think so. Sure, additional discussion.
I don't want to do something that's not final.
Yeah, that's.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. You can call the roll.
Supervisor Eisner,
Yes.
trustee Mosher. Trustee Rubin.
Yeah.
Trustee Robin.
Yeah.
Trustee Kazal McNally. So I'll note that you know.
And a clean version will be provided at the next meeting. And we can amend. We have that as continuing business. Yeah. Okay. All right. Annual meeting. Please.
Okay, so I'm actually the only official standing. I mean, it sounds funny to tell you that for the annual town meeting, and I really appreciate Gail's insight into doing this because we've always thought about the Jewish holidays, but adding this as Islamic holiday in our new context, you would say it would be important. And I've been to Eid al-Fitr celebrations, and so I know how special they are. And so that's a great thing. And so you're aware that we approved at last year's annual town meeting the April 9th, but we always have discretion through the statute. And so I just appreciate it.
Yeah. So there are some, things to keep in mind. I know, Kate, you were going to check in with a local. And I tried too, and I never got a response either. Which generally tells me that there isn't much,
There may be nobody staffing the email.
there might be no one staffing the email account. I don't know.
It's the end of
That's
Ramadan.
here, the end of Ramadan.
Special, and many of the mosques have dinners. They do interfaith things to welcome, and I think maybe in this year with all the tension, it might be an ideal year for a lot of the mosques to like open up to the community.
So the alternative day would be acceptable with the rules.
With the statute, you can change it based on discretion, and the electors are just supposed to understand that there's a religious reason. And that's
What
what
would
it,
be the alternative day?
So the original date is April 9th. Statutorily, we can move it to April 16th, the following Tuesday.
That's where the little stars are there. We were going back and forth about it. There's a proposed, a tentative schedule in your board packet. There's two little stars because we hadn't made a decision about it.
Yeah.
oh, I can explain that one. I appreciate you doing that. The annual, the annual education conference goes from Monday to Wednesday this year. And I definitely will be involved. I'm on the clerks, the state clerks association. There'll be an awards breakfast that Tuesday morning that I would need to be part of.
It's the 16th of April.
Oh, no, that's in November. I'm sorry.
No,
Kidding.
of course, since putting together the agenda, I've learned now that I'm going to be in Springfield on the 16th. So it's really, the question is, we have the ability to move it. We do not have a resounding desire from anyone in the township asking us to do so. Another input is that Melanie would prefer the 16th. She had planned a trip that ends on the 9th or something like that, and then would want to continue that trip.
Wait, I'm so confused.
I don't know.
We're just
Oh.
talking about April right now, right?
Yeah.
So Melanie wants it. You're gonna be in Springfield?
So it's not really to my benefit. So originally I was leaning towards doing it.
No. The 9th.
The 9th is the last night around.
We're talking about why it's preferential to do it.
So we could do what we've done in the past for Passover, but which admittedly have not been on the first 2 nights of Passover. We would have moved it as well. We also have a larger Jewish population than we have a Muslim population. And have an acknowledgement of the holiday, just like we had Passover friendly treats last year. We could have dates and other kid friendly items. We did approve at the annual meeting, we did approve the 9th. So this is a bigger deal in that sense, that we did set it by a vote of the electors, and kind of think we probably should have fixed it if we were going to fix it at that meeting. So I guess I'm currently saying keep it at the 9th. No, we wouldn't. Any additional discussion?
But you weigh all the pluses and
Anybody else? Kate, I know we were both concerned about it being, we haven't seen any,
minuses.
no one's calling for it.
Is
Yeah.
the 9th still okay with Winnetka? Have we? No. Okay.
It's an important day. It's our community.
Mhm.
It's the final day of Ramadan. It's kind of a big deal.
It is a big
Hold
deal.
on here and- We try to talk to, I have some friends of.
But the question is not necessarily that it's a big holiday, but do we have residents that would have come, right?
Well, certainly if you're Islamic, you wouldn't.
Right. Absolutely.
And this usually I always check and prepare before we present the next year's meeting. So I mean, I thoroughly always, I check on. We've done that forever. And so
Well, let's,
when we put the 9th on, that was like, okay, the 9th, perfect, doesn't conflict with Passover. So.
I don't know. I'm not feeling good about the 9th.
oh,
It's either the 9th or the 16th. If it's the 16th, we lose our supervisor position. That would not be good.
well, this is all my fault, by the way, guys.
No,
I'm like legit though, because I'm the one who added Ramadan to the statute 3 or 4 years ago.
But they did add it.
Holidays. One word up front.
It's a major religion.
But at a certain point, you have to make difficult decisions. Just call it a day. I say we plan for the 9th, back up and send one to the 9th. Our supervisor will be present on the 9th. It's the 9th. That's what my voice is.
It is benefits night,
Yes.
Yeah. which is a minor holiday though. So, I have to always, keep that in mind that it's a minor holiday in
In
Judaism.
Ramadan, this is a biggie, and it's the last night. It's not just a night of Ramadan.
Right. Just like we did have it on Passover in the middle, right? Well, we need to approve our schedule. We do not actually have to approve the annual town meeting schedule because that's actually theoretically already been approved. The town meeting is currently scheduled for April 9th. That has been approved at the last town meeting.
Yes, agreed to deny.
Not yet.
You haven't,
No, not yet.
we know we have a backup, but we'd like to jump on.
Right.
But we
On
can also
our
do that.
minds for a while. It's been a long time since we've been.
A lot of venues have left a lot of
Yes.
that.
Right, the Writers Theater was actually really reasonable last year.
Yeah.
So I guess it has to
Yes.
be moved to the next Tuesday. I know, government. I don't know what their obsession with Tuesday. It can only be after.
That date or they allow for a week later. And every township in Ohio, we might be the only ones, if we switch.
My
we might be the
understanding is
only ones.
Niles is considering it
Okay.
strongly, but they also have a very large population of Muslim individuals. Potentially Maine, yes. So I guess at this point, what I would do is I would table that decision. Get a little bit more input, but at the same time, move on to new business and approve with April 9th, since that's the date that has been approved from the annual meeting. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion to table the annual meeting date change. All those in favor, please say aye. Any-
Approve this schedule. Okay.
Well, we're going there next. Any opposed? None, seeing none. All right, now schedule 2024 regular board meetings. We only include the annual meeting on here, by the way, just for reference, because we usually don't have an April meeting as a result. But it is not a regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees, which we're required to approve once a year, right? So please take a look at the dates. The only one that's not a second, like our normal Tuesday, is that November 19th.
You'll be in Springfield with all three of us. And
Yeah.
Kate, you would love it very well. Kate, it's
I'm gonna come to lobby.
Approve this.
All right. I have in my supervisorship always included an August meeting.
and then
And if we need to delete it, we can, but I'd rather have it noticed for public transparency reasons. We did have it this year. Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
on
didn't
some
have a
years we
July.
don't have
Previous
July.
years, we have gotten rid of it. But yes, I have to do so because of the approval of the, yeah. It might be short, and I apologize that this one's long. So was there a motion to approve the schedule?
So moved.
Wait, let's do discussion. So second? All right, discussion. So I'm amending, yeah. Thank you. So as amended to have the 9th as approved at the last annual town meeting. So there'll be a clean version posted. Okay, tell me. Oh, sorry. You know what? Let's do this. In order to avoid that problem, let's delete the entire reference to the annual meeting. Yeah. Oh, we haven't voted on it yet. Yeah. Oh, it's tabled. Yeah, that's done.
Table, okay.
Yeah, so now we had discussion, and I'm proposing that we amend this schedule to not include the annual town meeting since it is not a regular board meeting. Okay, all those in favor of the proposed amendment, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Any additional discussion? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the meeting schedule for 2024, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, it is unanimous. Okay. Anyone else who loves their parliamentary procedure? League of Women Voters is teaching the junior high kids Parley Pro in February, and I have already volunteered. So if anyone wants in. Okay. Oh, yeah, I probably put this on. And it might be too late at this point to discuss, so we'll just let me know what your all thoughts are. my proposal is to go back to having income eligibility for the pantry. As we've seen huge increases in usage and costs. During COVID, we did not check income and verify whether anyone was income eligible. We took people's word that they had need. Currently, all you have to do is either say prove you're a resident or work in the township, and you can use our pantry. We would like to align pantry usage with our other financial programs at 200%. It was 200 to 50. Sorry, I increased that last year. 250% of the federal poverty rate.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why.
I think
I'm
it's
gonna be checking at the holiday giveaways because we have that issue too.
we had some people who had moved out of the township who got in line, and we ended up not having 2 dinners for the last 2 clients, right? It is, yeah. Yes.
Even their dialogue programs have income eligibility also.
So what I've proposed to the staff was merely a affidavit affirming under penalty of perjury, that you meet the income eligibility requirements. So just enough to point out to people that this is really meant for people with financial need, but not onerous for the staff.
So what we for
Gene vetted people and they had to prove income with check stubs and things like that prior to COVID.
so we're not gonna do that.
She has made it sound like that is not feasible for her. I am not averse to going back to a stringent check if we find that people are still, that people are lying.
Now,
Could Brian do that? Because Brian's running.
So the actual intake for the pantry is done by Jean.
Well, but
So
what
she had-
intake is she
yeah.
doing right now?
Right, so you fill out a form essentially, and she can help. Once you're doing the intake, she's also pointing you to other services that you might be eligible for. So it's
So
really
you fill
meant
out
to
a
be,
form.
that's pretty much it.
So I could walk in tomorrow and fill out a form
And then you can
proving nothing
Other than where you live.
other than where I live.
And you could get food pantry.
So why would it be more onerous for somebody to have to bring in a check stub? But that's what I'm saying. I don't think an affidavit is enough. I'm saying that if you are somebody who is coming to a food pantry when you are not eligible for the food pantry, then I think that there are going to be people that are just going to be, I'm fine.
You're absolutely right.
So I'm wondering if during the intake process, if it would be,
No, I completely agree with you, and I prefer to have it be more stringent. And if this board would agree, I think we can make that happen.
But I'm in favor of a 1 month one.
Okay,
We're gonna put
that's
this
a smart idea.
stringent procedure, so people give people a chance to not embarrass themselves. If we're gonna put the stringent procedure in effect, let everybody know with a written flyer, 1 month before it goes into effect, that from this day forward, this is what we're gonna be doing. So they are on notice. And then when they show up, that next month, they have their paper. And a lot of there are sliders that have been doing it, they're not gonna give them a 1 month.
They will try because I have been suspending people from the pantry. We have a problem with abuse in the pantry. A lot of issues in the pantry, especially because of a lot of usage. And we do get people who say, oh, I didn't really need the laundry detergent, but I took it. That's ruffling my feathers very badly because I'm seeing what we are spending. So I take it upon myself to go into the lobby and say, I'm the administrator, you're suspended. Last time I emailed it and I said, if there's an issue, I'm the administrator and you could come to me because we have people clearing off whole shelves in the pantry. So we need a more streamlined process and we have to get tough with people right now.
Yeah. Let's get to that. Let's give them one more warning. Let's fire. They're from the rules and what violation, what people have been doing. Put something in writing.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you have any issues that you consider? Oh, for the month?
No, I have no issue saying no. No issues whatsoever saying no, and in my position, I have to tell people no. But from even when I was administrative assistant, I think that we are just letting people get away with way too much in the pantry. That also crosses over to other services, obviously, that Jean can vet people for, but the pantry is too loosey-goosey, and that's our biggest spend. So if I become, if I feel not safe, I have no issue calling the police, and I tell my staff the same thing, but I don't feel unsafe. We do have issues talking to people who don't speak English, like telling the rules. So that is another thing that we're gonna have to go over. We have no issues translating it. We do have a lot of stuff in different languages downstairs. I just want to make it clear to people who don't speak English, which is a big part of our communication with new things that happen in the pantry.
That's what the services is. When they become abusive, sometimes. And once they're getting something for free that they're not entitled to, it's a group of people that once they're getting something, they have a hard time getting. And so we're looking at it. Don't want to expose any of our personnel to risk. Want to give them a warning. We want to put stuff in writing.
Absolutely.
Plain transition to what you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll now entertain a motion to reinstate income eligibility requirement for the pantry at 250% of the federal poverty line with a 1-month warning before implementation.
So,
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, 1 abstention. All right, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion? We are gonna,
emailed him. I didn't get anything back from him.
so we're gonna have to have people sign the levy. Yeah, the end of the month. Yeah, so we will get the revised version and we will get it signed, so we will get it in. But yeah, not tomorrow. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Have a wonderful evening.